On this video, I am going to be talking about vulnerability. Duh, duh, duh. I feel like this is something so many people try to avoid, myself included, for a long time, but it is so incredibly crucial, not only for your own mindset and emotional well-being, but also for your relationships, for how you show up, and for the energy and the weight in which you're carrying with you every day. So I'm going to be breaking down where vulnerability stems from, the root cause, the solution, the benefits, and really help you get clarity around how this is showing up in your life and how by taking that leap of faith and being a little bit vulnerable, you are going to end up in a much better situation in the long run. So let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Kara Michelle and I'm here to help you live your truth. Truth means honesty and vulnerability, so that's what we're going to be diving into today. And I know this is going to be a touchy subject for some people. It's not easy to be vulnerable. Vulnerability and awareness are actually the very first things that I work through with my clients inside my 90-day Conquer Your Mind program. Because in order for us to get the transformation and the growth that is possible for them, we need to become a little bit vulnerable. We need to be feeling comfortable to open up and do that inner work, which can be a little bit scary. So I just really know in my own life, the more vulnerable I've been, it's actually always ended up opening up really positive doors for me. So I'm a firm believer that no, it doesn't have to go extremely vulnerable, but just even having that little bit of vulnerability can help move mountains in your life and in your relationships and pretty much everywhere else. So let's get into the root cause. Now, the root cause of why we avoid vulnerability, I guess I should have explained that better. What makes vulnerability so scary? Just one second, my dog keeps tapping at the door. She's like the neediest thing sometimes. Anytime attention's not on her, she's like, pay attention to me. So I guess we're all like that. Now, the root cause of why this can be so scary and so uncomfortable is going to come down to fear, and fear of judgment, fear of weakness, and let's just say fear of safety. Okay. So the ego and your ego mind really craves safety and certainty all the time. So anything that's uncomfortable, anything that's out of that comfort zone creates problems for the ego, because the ego just wants to know, I'm safe, I'm good, this is normal, this is what I can expect, this is what I can plan for. Let me know in the comments down below if you've ever found yourself getting caught in this spiral of thoughts where you're going this is what's going to happen next, this is what will come after, and your brain is literally in overdrive trying to plan something out for you. Comment down below if you've ever had that happen. I know this was my life for a long time. How does that relate to vulnerability? It is vulnerable for you to not have control and to not have everything planned out and to not be able to see the end game picture. So this can really scare the ego mind because it wants that certainty and it craves that safety. And this also ties into this whole inner child work. So if you want to know more about that and how the inner child might be blocking you and having that fear of showing up, make sure you check out this video later so that you know more about how the inner child wound might be keeping you stuck. But if you're fearing judgment, fearing weakness, fearing safety, then it's going to feel unsafe for you to be vulnerable, to put yourself out there in a new way, to speak up, to share something, to step out of that comfort zone. Really simple example for me to use is that like 2 years ago, it would have been really vulnerable for me to show up on social media. I remember when I first started my coaching business about 3 years ago, and I, at the time, was really afraid of showing up on social media. I mean, I could show up and post pictures and share things that I was doing, foods that I was eating, like all of that kind of surface level stuff. But I was really scared to start to show up in a new way because that was outside of my comfort zone. So what I had to do was overcome that fear of judgment and overcome that fear of weakness or safety and put myself out there in a new way. So I remember I started doing an Instagram story challenge where I told myself I was going to show up on video, face to the camera, and talk every single day for 60 days until, and then actually, you know what? I don't think I've ever stopped. That was like 2 years ago. I'm always talking on there. Is that a good thing? The jury's out on that one. But I had to overcome the current comfort zone, and it was very vulnerable to put myself out there. Fast forward like a year later, I was posting crying selfies on Instagram and stuff, and it wasn't from a place of like, give me the attention. It was a place of like, let me be vulnerable and open up about some of the things I'm going through, because I know I'm not alone and maybe this can help you. So vulnerability opened up a lot of beautiful connections and doors for me in my life, and also with connecting to clients, connecting to other human beings, because by putting that out there, I was like unconsciously opening the door for other people to show up, to share, to be a little bit vulnerable, to be a little bit honest. And in terms of my business and what I do as a coach, that's crucial, because the number one thing that I would say like my clients love about me is that they know that it's safe, and they know that I'm here to support them and empathize, and like there's no judgment. They can be vulnerable, they can be their true selves, and I will support that and hold space for them. So that vulnerability is what allows that to be possible. So if we're afraid of also weakness, then it can really limit us, you know, especially for men. And I was just on a mindset masterclass, a Zoom call with a bunch of amazing people talking about different mindset tools, how to create this new identity for yourself. And one of the things that came up was a man was discussing, why did I say it like that? A man was discussing how it was difficult to kind of shift his beliefs around being vulnerable, because he had this identity that he's like the provider, the caregiver in a way, you know, he's here to support his family and he needs to be strong. They look up to him. He's got to like carry this facade or this identity forward. And I cannot understand that because I'm not in that position, but I do understand that for men in this culture there is a lot of disconnect for allowing them to show their emotions and allowing them to feel vulnerable. So it can feel really unsafe for a man to share these things. So one of the things that I discussed with him and suggested is what I'm going to share here as the solution. Now there are multiple solutions, but for the purpose of this video, let's dive into this one specifically. And so that is to reframe the beliefs. So we've talked, ooh, that's very messy. We have talked about this before, around reframing your beliefs and your thoughts around things. It's a little bit better. Okay, so for example, he was actually someone who had served in the army for a long time. And so his beliefs about strength and resilience, you know, power, service, all of these words that help to define and shape his identity around how he needed to show up all the time. And so it kind of felt unsafe and out of character for him to be emotional, for him to be more vulnerable, for him to ask for help, for him to show that he's struggling. And so he's wearing this armor every single day and carrying this heavy weight around who he needs to be in order to show up for his family. And it honestly broke my heart reading his comment and thinking about this, because that is such a difficult place to be in, where you feel like you have to play this part and show up a certain way in order to support everyone else, when meanwhile you might be carrying a lot of things, and meanwhile you just, sometimes we need to ask for help, and sometimes we need to just release and have that way to let go of what's going on. So in terms of reframing, what we discussed and what I suggested is like looking at your current beliefs around vulnerability. So current beliefs are probably like, is this going to show up on here? It's weak, like I said before, unsafe. Maybe it's like not masculine, right? Or manly. So different things that he maybe associates with being vulnerable or with asking for help. So these are the current things he's thinking, but when we're going to reframe the beliefs, what we're going to look at here is how can you turn this into a positive thing? So what I think is that being vulnerable takes an incredible amount of bravery. And as he was sharing his question, that was the first word. It just like popped into my head of like, it's brave though. It's really brave to put yourself out there, to be honest about what's going on, to ask for help when you need it, to admit that you maybe don't have all the answers or you need to take a break. That is fucking brave. Oh my gosh, I've never said the F word on here. Oh my gosh. Now I'm embarrassed. It's brave though. That takes a lot of courage. That was the other word. It is courageous. So, you know what? You might have a limiting belief around being vulnerable. You might think it's weak, it's not safe, it's not manly, or it's like, basically it's something that's bringing me down, and like I need to stand up and rise above and be this other version of myself. So you might have this kind of limiting belief around who you believe you need to be and how you need to show up in order to support everyone in your life. But let's reframe that belief and look at it a different way. So that means reframing it to say, you know what, it's really brave of me to speak up and ask for help when I need it. It's really courageous for me to say that I can't do this, or like I need a break, or I'm not ready at this time, or, you know, it's really, really courageous and brave to speak up for yourself honestly. And I think this is what kind of comes into play here with vulnerability, is like, it's just being honest. This board is becoming a mess, but it's just being honest with yourself and with others. So we live in a society where it's very scary and it's very intimidating to put yourself out there, because we are always worried about this judgment. And we're always worried about what people will think, how they'll respond, what's gonna come, what's the repercussions of me being honest here. So we bottle things up. We avoid talking about it. We avoid sharing it. We avoid telling our feelings to people because we're afraid of what it could mean. We're afraid of being shut down or rejected. And that means living in fear for a long time. And that means really missing out on true connection. So I just spent probably like 5 minutes talking to myself and my phone storage was full. So I was saying that it keeps you missing out on connection. So this is the benefit that I want to focus on here, is that by being vulnerable, by being honest, by sharing yourself, you actually open up to deep and meaningful relationships and connections. And these are things that are not available to you if you are not vulnerable. If you don't put yourself out there and you continue to guard your heart or guard your emotions or just guard your life, I like the image I have in my mind, and the image that came to me when chatting with this man, and like the word bravery, right, is like a knight in shining armor. But maybe it's not shining, maybe it's really dull because it's really heavy, you know, like it's someone who's carrying so much stuff and really weighed down. And so to me, actually being vulnerable is like when you rise above that. Like, you break free of the heaviness and the weight that you're carrying, and you're able to truly interact and show up in the world in a way that you could have never thought possible. It's like you're setting yourself free. It's like you're taking off all of that armor and all of that heaviness that's trying to keep you, it's trying to protect you, it's trying to keep you safe, but it's really freaking heavy and it's weighing you down all day, every day, and it's also blocking you out from all things. So just because like my mind's going there, let's think about, you're wearing this armor and like, yes, it's protecting you from getting hit, like getting sliced by a sword, but it's also preventing you from like physical touch. Like, it's also preventing you from intimacy, from connection, because like you can't really do that while you've got this big armor thing on you, right? You can't really connect with other people in a loving and positive way either. So by having that armor, oh, I love this example. By having that armor, you are blocking off the good and the bad. And this is why I really truly believe tapping into your emotions and doing this inner work and learning how to reframe and reprogram your mind is so powerful, because a lot of us live in fear. A lot of us live trying to protect, trying to keep ourselves safe, but in that need for safety, we're blocking off the potential of something so much greater and all of these beautiful things coming our way, because we're scared. We're scared of what could come or what could go wrong. And something that's really amazing and very unrelated, but it's from A Course in Miracles, and it's all about this, you can't have love without fear, and vice versa. And we can't have beauty without pain and without like ugly. We can't, everything in the world is a construct. Everything in the world has been separated into these different values that we give it as either good or bad. And I talk about this inside our mindset training, inside my mindset training. I did it. It's not, okay, so it's not yours. I talk about this separation because we try to live in one, but it also blocks us off from the other. Like, if you don't truly feel pain, you can't truly feel love. If you're closed off from all of your emotions because you're trying to avoid the bad things, you're also closed off from all of the good things and from truly experiencing the most beautiful, loving emotions in the world. So basically, vulnerability is you being able to take that armor off, find your freedom, feel safe in showing up as your true authentic self. And it's from that place that these really deep and powerful and meaningful connections are possible. So as I said, in my own life, some of the most vulnerable moments and like the scariest times where I was putting myself out there and I was showing up and like putting pictures and like even being on YouTube and doing all these different things and putting myself out there in front of tens of thousands of people, it can be really scary and it can feel vulnerable. But to me, that's where the true connection comes in, and it's through that honesty and through that expression that I can actually meet people in a better way, and like they can understand me, I can understand them, and it's just that honesty. Whereas if I try to avoid that and block that off, it is like I've got my shield or I've got my armor and I'm just going like nothing's coming in, right? And so I think it's about understanding how you can create a nice little balance so it's safe for you to start to be vulnerable. So if this is something you struggle with, comment down below and we're going to reaffirm that vulnerability is actually bravery. It's brave to be vulnerable. Comment that down below. It's brave to be vulnerable. It's courageous to be vulnerable. That is what I want you to hopefully walk away from this video, realizing that this is a simple mindset shift around what you associate with this word. So vulnerability right now might mean something negative, weak, all those scary words, right? but we're going to reframe it to see that it's actually very courageous and it's actually very brave, and it puts you out in the world. Yes, it does, and that can be scary. But by putting yourself out in the world in a new way, you also open up new doors that would never have opened up for you. New relationships, new opportunities, new situations, new freedom, because you're opening up in a way that allows that compared to staying closed off and guarded. So if you would like some more support with this, and if you're interested in learning how we can work together and actually do the mindset reprogramming, not only just around vulnerability, but also around everything in your life and all the struggles, all the weights that are holding you down and keeping you limited, make sure you check out that free mindset training down below. It's going to help you so much, and it's going to share with you my 3-step system, what I coach my clients through, and what has brought so many powerful transformations over the years. And I would love to be able to chat and help you and support you with this as well. And make sure that you check out some of these other videos here that will also help you with shifting your mindset and showing up in your power, feeling confident in who you are. And don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button, and I will see you on the next video.